Today's podcast is brought to you by Behind the Tech with Kevin Scott. You can find it on all major podcast platforms.
Probably even some minor ones.
I bet you probably could. RSS feeds, the like, the running of the gambit.
That's pretty much what podcasts are, right? RSS feeds. I mean,
yeah, that's where they started, and then they morphed into things, and yet daily things sometimes.
Yeah.
Anyways, here we are. It is Thursday.
Yep. And tomorrow, if everything goes well, I'll be doing this from somewhere outside of Boston.
Oh. At Bamboo, your favorite restaurant?
Actually, if everything goes well, I will be having lunch tomorrow at Bamboo.
Fantastic. Fantastic. You could also have some fun next week with a classroom pen, too.
Yeah, I can't because I'm not an educational institution.
We can agree on that for sure.
I think, I don't know if you saw this, you have to buy these things in like packs of 20. So, because they're literally only for sale to schools. So,
sure.
I think they're, what are they, $20 or $30 a piece?
Yeah, I think that sounds about right.
And then you have to buy 20. So, spread the wealth. It's got a little loop you can put on there, or the clip,
They could have these at Costco. That'd be like the perfect model, right? You can only buy them in bundles of...
Put them on a pallet.
Yeah, I mean...
A pallet of Microsoft Classroom Pen 2s.
Why not? You buy things, you get your 10-pound jar of mayonnaise and your 20 pens in case you lose one.
In case the apocalypse happens. You can drown yourself in mayonnaise.
More excitingly, is the GUI apps of Linux. I mean, it did snow yesterday at my house, so I think we can confirm that hell has in fact frozen over. That you'll soon be able to run Wine on Windows, and then emulate your favorite Windows app inside of Windows. So you got Windows in your Windows.
Oh, that's good.
What you should do is run Wine and then install Linux Edge, and then you can run the Linux version of Edge on your Windows version.
I am kind of curious what the point of this is. I mean, I know WSL is largely for developers and I guess system administrators, but what are the rich Linux GUI apps that we're missing on Windows? I'm sure there's an answer. But I don't know. I talked about this on Windows Weekly. Yes, if you watch the video Microsoft supplied, they the guy runs Audacity for Linux and maybe what's the other one? Maybe it is Edge. I don't. It's some other app, but those apps are on Windows. Like why would I run the Linux version? It's not as good. But I don't know. Anyway, yeah, it's great. I mean, it's fine. It's just.
I think it really is just one of those things. It's the natural evolution, right? They did the command line apps that everybody probably wanted that tool set, and like, why not do GUI? I mean, at least they'd have that option if you really want to, I guess.
Again, at the risk of repeating what I said yesterday, because I still think this is kind of an interesting thought.
Yeah.
Debate. I mean, wouldn't it be more useful to run Windows apps on Linux?
Yeah, probably.
Right. Now, Wine is not a great solution for that because of all the compatibility issues. But if Microsoft was to do to Linux what it's planning to do to 10X and put a container thing on there and let you run Windows apps, I mean, that seems like it would be the more viable way to go. But
yeah.
Well,
here we are talking about Chrome OS 90.
Yeah, let's keep this one brief because there's not really a lot going on there.
Well, I love your headline, and I almost tweeted it back. Chrome OS 90 is now available on Chromebooks as opposed to iPads.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I deserve that.
I accept.
I didn't want it to be so short, and then I was like, well, the other thing is I actually kind of anticipated some blowback to that title, but not for the reason you just said, which was someone's got, because everyone in tech is so pedantic and be like, well, it also runs on Chrome boxes, so technically, But the thing is, like, if you read the post that Google supplied, they say Chromebooks all the time. It's always Chromebooks. So whatever. Anyway, that's not, instant answers are in the launcher. Those should be familiar to Windows users. You can get the weather, stocks, blah, blah, blah.
No, it does sound
Document scanning built in. It's fine. Live captions are coming, not today, but in the next few weeks, which I think is something. think Google added that to Android too, didn't they? The ability to have captions like everywhere in the system as long as the audio was playing, I think.
I think they did. It does sound...
It sounds familiar, yeah.
It does sound familiar. If they haven't added it yet, it's on the way.
Yeah.
There's also Android 12 Developer Preview 3, which it feels like every year they get more and more of these things out earlier and earlier. Pretty soon it's going to be like February, and you're just going to be running the next version. But not on your Surface Duo.
They pushed the schedule back, I guess we'll call it, so they could ship this thing in time for August and have it be on devices for the fall. I think that's the reason why it's changed. But yeah, Google announces some features, obviously aimed at developers with each of these milestones, and they're never particularly interesting. There are other people who are heavily invested in the Android thing, and they pry around in the system. They find all these little UI changes. But I think the big end user stuff will be officially announced at least in May, right? At Google I/O when they do the first beta. So, I mean, these early ones are still kind of, they're kind of rough, obviously. But
yeah, I mean, it's like
lots of curved window corners, though.
That's the new thing. It's coming to Windows. It's going to be...
Can we do that? We should do that to the podcast. Just change the little windows so they're all...
I totally could.
In keeping with the 2021 design style that is seizing the tech world.
Wouldn't it be hard? I don't think.
I'm sorry I put this idea in your head. I was joking.
Ideas that should be put in your head are Behind the Tech with Kevin Scott. This week, we are hiding the episode with Ashley Lorenz, where they talk about artificial intelligence and robotics. I don't know why I emphasized that. I really don't know why I did that. Anyways, there's a long and robust back catalog with Behind the Tech. You can check it out on all the major podcast platforms. There's people like Sam Altman, Mae Jemison. There's just Reid Hoffman is in there. So you can go back and highlight and listen to all of those. That's Behind the Tech with Kevin Scott. He is the Chief Technology Officer over at the Microsofts. I wonder how he feels about rounded corners.
I'm sure he's all for him. Hey, I feel like we're burying the lead here, so to speak, because you have used xCloud on Windows.
And today, after this, I'm going to work on the iOS iteration of it as well.
Okay, so talk to me.
It's Xbox in your browser. I mean, to me, the iOS stuff is great, but to me, I'm more attracted to the browser playback. Primarily just because it's just easier. It's, I don't know, like I feel like when I don't game on my phone. Like I never really have. And so I've game on my PC, I game on the console. And so I just threw it in the browser. There's a couple, it got off to a little rough start, but Microsoft had some routing issues on the back end of it. Those seem to have been resolved. I mean, it works pretty well. It's the same story, I think, as for Android. It's really good for like your single player games. I would not play first person shooters on this. There's still noticeable latency between obviously moving a thumbstick and your guy on the screen. It's not bad, but single player games, absolutely fine. Multiplayer shooter games, I should say, because I think Minecraft would probably be perfectly fine to play with people, like those types of games. But I want to go like the competitive route where like Twitch-based reactions are.
I wonder if one day they can do matchmaking where you're matched with other people on the same system, right? And then
sure they could.
Maybe that makes it easy or better or whatever.
Yeah. Or they might honestly just improve like that latency or find another path to accomplish that. But that last 10% is a lot harder than that first 90. But I mean, I think the key here is considering that I'm not paying extra for this, it's wonderful. I don't know if I would go out and pay extra dollars just for this though.
Right.
AKA Stadia or Luna or whatever. Like,
yeah. I mean, those seem to work pretty well. It seems like the Microsoft stuff should too.
Yeah, it's getting there. So I will have another write-up about the iOS experience. It's basically the same thing as Luna. You have to go to the website and then you have to add it to your home screen, and then it's essentially the exact same experience. So,
right. Yeah. Okay. Well, that's nice.
Yeah. I mean, it's good, right? I mean, it's the future. It's how I think they always quote the number about 3 billion additional people this opens up the door to. So,
okay. I don't think we're going to get all those guys.
No, I mean, if they did, Phil Spencer would be just riding around on a chair of gold, and he'd be kicking Satya out.
All right. I mean, my whole thing, I haven't seen the Windows version yet, or the browser version, but doesn't it have kind of a vibe of like what took so long? I mean,
yeah,
it doesn't. I don't quite understand why.
Yeah, it is a little interesting or unknown why they got the Android version out so quickly. I think the browser version, I'm guessing, this is me guessing. Remember, they originally had an app, and then Apple said, no, we're not going to let you do that. So then they lost whatever that time was. And then I suspect maybe they tried to do it themselves, and like that wasn't working out. So then they went to Rainway, and then that is what really got them over that final maybe hump.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. That
speculation, but the browser, I don't know why that took so long.
Yeah, it's weird.
It is weird. You're weird. We're weird. It's weird.
What are you gonna do?
Yeah, I don't know. So you are driving today. What else happened in the world? Oh, you got a Sonos Roam. Thanks for telling me. I didn't even know this.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, I bought it.
I don't.
It's tiny. Like it's in the other room, but it's only like this big. It's really small. And I in the post I mentioned that this restaurant I go to has the GBL, whatever those things are called, and those are those are big. They're really big, but I haven't compared them head to head or whatever. But honestly, for the size, the sound quality is great. We're gonna drive to Boston today, so we're gonna, not that this makes any sense, but we're gonna just play with it in the car to see if the loudness of it is okay over the sound of the the road and everything, and just to kind of gauge it. But yeah, so you could pop this thing in a bag and never even notice it was there if you want to. I don't really approve of people out in the world playing their own music. Like, you go to a beach or something, there's like people blasting songs. Like, I hate that kind of thing. But you go to a hotel room or something and you're going to be there, for a show, and you want to play your podcast or music or whatever through a better speaker than what you normally, than through the phone or whatever. It's like, it's super portable. I mean, so we'll see. I'm gonna play with it on this little trip. See how it goes. But yeah, it's cute.
I'm not gonna say
it is. I know it's crazy. Well, if you look at the pictures, you can see how small it is compared to like the other Sonos speakers. It's a baby Sonos.
Today's podcast was brought to you by Behind the Tech with Kevin Scott. We're going to end on that happy note and no inappropriate jokes.
Just a little guy.